Rebuilding pride, community, and a culture that actually works again. Alright, episode 5, here we go. If you've stayed with me through all of this, then first off, thank you, because this episode might be the most important one so far. Episode 1 was the wake-up call. Episode 2 was the uncomfortable truth. Episode 3 broke down how the middle class is getting squeezed into a stressed pancake. Episode 4 talked about fairness, work, and rebuilding a system that rewards people who actually keep the state running. But episode 5, this one's not about rules, or laws, or programs, or governments, or budgets. This one is about us, the people, the culture, the mindset we've lost, and the one we need to rebuild if we want any of this to mean anything. Because here's the thing, you can change policies all day long, but if you don't change the culture behind the people living under those policies, then you're rearranging the furniture in a house with a broken foundation. We've lost something, and no one wants to admit it. Somewhere along the way, we traded in pride, community, accountability, the idea that your word matters, helping each other without needing a camera out, or, just being a neighbor, not a stranger. And for this weird, lonely, disconnected kind of life where everyone feels like they're on their own, we don't know our neighbors anymore. We don't slow down for each other. We talk at each other online, but never to each other in person. We live in the same town, but completely different worlds. And in that disconnect, everything else broke. Crime went up because communities stopped holding each other accountable. Addiction took over because people felt isolated and invisible. Fair work got undermined because people were too busy surviving to care about integrity. Mental health collapsed under the weight of loneliness and hopelessness. Families drifted apart and trust vanished. Honestly, it's making everyone feel empty, even the people pretending they've got it all together. We need a culture of responsibility again, not punishment, but purpose. Responsibility gets a bad rap these days. People hear the word and think, oh great, here comes the guilt trip. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of responsibility that gives life meaning, like showing up because people depend on you, keeping your word because it reflects who you are, taking pride in your work no matter what job you do, teaching your kids right from wrong, admitting a mistake and fixing it, being the kind of neighbor your grandparents would brag about, treating people with respect even when you disagree, and taking care of your home, your land, your block, your town. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a purpose. It's what keeps us from feeling lost and what gives us pride. When people have purpose, communities thrive. When people lose purpose, everything falls apart. We need to rebuild pride, real pride, not the performative kind. I'm talking about the kind of pride where a clean neighborhood means something. I mean, a hard day's work feels good. A handshake still means something. You look after the people around you. You feel good knowing you earned what you have. And doing the right thing feels better than getting away with the wrong thing. Dignity comes from effort, not shortcuts. We used to have that. It didn't matter if you drove a truck, wore a suit, ran a backhoe, taught school, delivered packages, or stayed home raising kids. People took pride in what they did, whatever they did do. We can get that back. And we need community again. Not online community, real community. Because look, scrolling through Facebook and liking your neighbor's posts is not the same as being there for them. We need real connection again. We need potlucks, local events, neighborhood cleanups, checking in on older neighbors, supporting small businesses, kids playing outside instead of being glued to screens, and block by block unity. A community is not a location. It's a commitment. It's a decision to show up for people even if you're tired, busy, or stressed, and Washington used to be full of that. I myself remember as children, we used to shut off our cul-de-sac for the 4th of July and have the whole neighborhood out there having fun. We were the kind of people who'd help you dig your car out of the snow or push a stalled truck through an intersection. We can be that again. So how do we actually rebuild this culture? Here's the part that most people skip, but I'm not going to skip it. We rebuild it by doing the small things that add up. We show up even when we don't feel like it. We check on people even when it's awkward. We clean up the block even if we don't make the mess. We volunteer even if it's just once in a while. We call out the wrong behavior respectfully because silence creates rot. We praise good behavior loudly because encouragement creates growth. We lift people up because failing down is easy. Getting back up isn't. Culture isn't built by systems. Culture is built by people doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. This is how we turn the corner, not through laws alone, but through us. We can fix addiction crisis. We can fix homelessness. We can fix affordability. We can fix fairness in hiring. But none of those things matter if the people living in Washington stop believing in Washington or in each other. If we rebuild culture, everything else becomes possible. If we don't rebuild culture, none of the other fixes will matter. It's as simple as that.